Hey there, welcome back everybody. I was recently inspired to do this video when my friend Cherie on the Top Note channel here on YouTube did a video titled Unpopular Opinions, and her video was mainly based about on perfumes that were popular that she didn't necessarily like. And I did think about doing something like that, but my list is not that big when it comes to popular perfumes that I don't really like or rate, and they're most probably very similar to a lot of what Cherie's mentioned in her video. So I'll link to that video in the description. So I decided to do a possible unpopular opinion. These are my opinions on a few things in the perfume world, and I want to stress very strongly that my opinion has no more value than anybody else's opinion when it comes to these topics that I'm going to mention. They've just come about through my own experience doing this channel, being into perfume, learning as much as I can about perfume, and I believe in these things, and they're all obviously down to my own personal taste. So the first one opinion I'm going to mention is that all natural perfume ingredients does not equal better. It's not better in my opinion. And I'll describe what I mean. So there is first of all the use of, in the marketing of perfumes, natural ingredients, and you have to just kind of take that with a grain of salt most of the time when perfume brands say we only compose this perfume with the very finest natural ingredients. More than likely it's going to have synthetic aroma chemicals in it somewhere. However, there are certain perfume houses, mainly I guess artisanal niche, that will only use natural ingredients and not use aroma chemicals or synthetic man-made chemicals in the composition of their perfume, and that's perfectly fine to do. I have found personally that perfumes that are all 100% natural, in general terms, do not tend to work that well on my skin, and I've yet to find one that I actually love the smell of. So as far as I'm concerned, just because something is all natural, it definitely does not make it the better option. If you are thinking, oh, but you're allergic to perfumes or you get irritation, there's just as much chance of you being allergic to a natural ingredient than there is of a synthetically created aroma chemical. So what I'm getting at really is this debate about natural versus synthetics. I don't believe that there is one that's better than the other. It's what it comes down to is things like to consider are you sensitive to certain aroma chemicals or a natural ingredient? What's your beliefs in terms of I guess is there an environmental impact in terms of the perfume being made, and so on and so forth. So my personal belief is, to me, it doesn't really matter, and most of my very favorite perfumes are created with synthetic aroma chemicals. The thing I want to mention, second possibly unpopular opinion, is that right now the term niche quality does not exist. Maybe it once did exist, where there wasn't so many niche perfumes out on the market, and you really would find only perfumes that probably were made of better quality ingredients, smelled out of the ordinary compared to what you would find in the designer world, maybe then you could say, well, this smells like niche. But these days it's just not the case. And I don't really want to get into a whole definition of what niche is or should be, because I think I have personally started trying to see beyond what type of house a perfume comes from. So to me, it's perfume. The brand, if you want to look into it, they only make perfume or they make other stuff. It honestly doesn't matter, because these days, really, it's more about how difficult it is to buy, or how limited distribution might be. I mean, there are even some designer fragrances that are virtually impossible for me to get here. So it kind of makes a mockery about calling something niche. These days, in terms of quality of perfume, you can just forget about that, because some of the worst perfume I've smelled over the last few years has come from supposedly niche house, what generally get referred to as niche houses. And really, the worst I can say about a lot of designer perfumes, recently released designer perfumes, is that they don't necessarily smell bad. They just kind of smell generic. So niche quality, again, does not make it better in my eyes. So every time I hear that phrase, I cringe, and to me there is really just no such thing. There's good perfume and there's bad perfume depending on your taste. So I might leave it at that. Okay, so just going back, I think earlier, to my point about naturals versus synthetics, my next opinion probably might be the most, I don't know if it'll be the most controversial, but what I want to say is ambroxan is not the devil. Now, I base this on the fact that I've smelled ambroxan. It's a specific aroma chemical which is meant to kind of emulate natural ambergris. But as far as a solitary aroma chemical smell, I quite like the smell of ambroxan. It's very pleasant. There are other proprietary amber aroma chemicals like amberwood that I know a lot of people don't like. So they all vary. But the reason I bring this up is because Dior Sauvage over the last few years has single-handedly turned, and I get irritated because it's mainly when I read this in forums and discussions on fragrances. Regardless of what you think of Dior Sauvage, or whether you love or hate it, when I get annoyed a little bit when people say it's an ambroxan bomb, it's a chemical mess, and I feel like it's unfairly dumped on one aroma chemical that in isolation smells really quite pleasant to me. And I guess if you don't like it, you just don't like that particular composition. And a lot of people, as you know, there is proof that a lot of people like it. I think there is a certain element of, I want to say, snobbishness with people who don't like Sauvage, but I think it's just the language that is used when it's being described or critiqued. But anyway, my point is ambroxan as an aroma chemical in isolation is quite pleasant, and I think it's probably more incumbent on the perfumers and the brands releasing these things to use it in compositions a little bit better. But I'm not a perfumer, so what the hell do I know? Next unpopular opinion. Can we please stop with the rose oud perfumes? I've had enough. It's almost like every house you can think of has probably got one, especially non-department store brands. It gets to a point where, yes, if you want to deep dive, you can find the intricacies in them and the differences, but in the end, they kind of all start to smell the same to me, with maybe a couple of exceptions, but it's been done to death, and I think, I guess they sell. I guess there's a big market for them, and I just wish brands would try something new. Maybe this isn't an unpopular opinion, but because I know a lot of people love rose oud combinations, and I like a couple of them, but it's like, let's just stop releasing new ones, okay? Because I think they've probably been done. Next opinion relates to small indie artisanal houses. I am a great believer in supporting those perfumers, those houses, and I own several from houses that would fit into this category. But just because you are artisanal and you're independent, you do everything yourself, you don't get a free pass from me. You still have to have a perfume that smells great or good enough to purchase a bottle. I'm more than happy to sample as many as I can. Also, just because you're an indie house, if I sample and I don't like something, I'm going to give my opinion on that, good or bad. So I just think, just because I guess I need to articulate this very well, is that just because you've got this cool, funky backstory and you got really nice little bottles and marketing and so on and so forth, if the perfume in those bottles is no good, then nothing about it is going to be good, because I don't buy for name, I don't buy for the way a bottle looks, and that's pretty much it. Also, you have to be mindful of customer service. There are at least 3 indie houses that I'm not going to mention in this video, or probably ever, that I will never ever purchase from or review, good or bad, just because I don't want to give them any publicity. And it all comes from bad customer service. I know that I've smelled things from these houses that I quite like, and if I decided to do a review, it would be positive. But I had some very bad experiences interacting with these houses, and it's got nothing to do with like free bottles or free product or anything like that. It's just, poor communication, not getting back to an inquiry, or the way they've responded to some Instagram posts and some controversial decisions that they've made on social media, for instance. So they're just not going to get any of my time. There are so many houses out there that do the right thing, and if they smell good, they'll get a positive review. If they don't smell good, they won't get a positive review. My point is that you just need to be mindful of the whole product and your paying customers. Do not alienate the people who are buying your bottles by making some customers more important than others, if you get my drift. My last unpopular opinion is I want all brands to put stuff out in 30ml bottles. I actually don't care about the other sizes, but if more brands did this, I would probably own more bottles, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but I just wish they'd all do a 30ml size. That's it. I'd like to hear some of your unpopular opinions. If you agree with me, don't agree with me, they're just my thoughts. They have formulated in my head over the last few years, and I can't think of any more that are worth putting in this video. So just let me know if you have any, and I'll tell you if I agree or disagree. It's my opinion, man. I'll see you all later. Bye.